On today's What Do We Do podcast, we're joined by Adam Helfman. Adam is the founder of HireItDone.com, a nationally recognized home improvement company connecting homeowners with both contractors and the resources to fix up the home. From roofing, kitchen and baths, to even appliances, do you repair or replace? Well, Adam's here to break it all down, including sharing with us the top home improvement trends for 2025. It's going to be a great show, so hit the subscribe button, give us a follow, and let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another What Do We Do podcast episode. I'm your host, Dewey Stephan, and this is another guest episode. These are episodes where we find a leader from the community who has a story to tell, knowledge to share, and advice to give. And then we invite them on into the studio to drop that wisdom on all of us. And today's guest is a guru in the home improvement fix-it space with his brand, Hire It Done. Welcome to the show, Adam Helfman.
Dewey, glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. And for the next hour, we're going to soak up all of your knowledge, hopefully get some ideas, and really get an understanding more about what it's like in the home improvement space and to hire it done. Okay?
Let's have at it.
Let's have at it. Well, we always start the show with a game we like to play called High-Low. And what that is a game where we want to know what is the high point and low point of your life to this point.
Ooh, that's a good question. So, high-low, can I start with the low?
It's your show, yeah.
Okay, so for me, the low point of my life, I would like to think is probably the death of my father. Because in the home improvement space, he was a legend. And so he taught me everything, and I feel like I didn't get it all. So it's been a rough go, and a low point for that. But I feel like I've grasped it and dealt with it pretty good.
How long ago did he pass away?
He passed away right before COVID.
Okay. So maybe five and a half years
ago?
Yeah,
about 2019.
Okay. Well, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's been tough. But hey, he's a great man.
Great. And then the high point.
High point of my life, I've had a few, but one of them was a TV show. I don't know if you remember, there was a TV show called Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Move That Bus, Ty Pennington. It was one of the few shows on TV that was like Disney. Sunday nights, there was no violence. It was just good things, good people doing good things for people. And they came to Michigan, went to several building departments asking for names of builders. And when I was in the contracting business, more than one of the building departments told ABC, you got to call this company. They reached out to me and we turned them down initially, but then they came back a few more times and we finally said, okay, if we do this, then we'll do it. And we ended up doing the episode in 2004. It was called the Varden episode. Deaf parents with a blind autistic child. And we tore their house down, rebuilt it with a sensory room for the autistic child, but then also made the house accessible for the parents. And they were deaf. And that episode turned into a 2-hour episode, and we won an Emmy. And from there, I would say I caught the media bug. I went and consulted for the show for 2 seasons, building houses in 5 days, 9 hours, which was crazy. I'll call it controlled chaos with sheer moments of terror. And that got me into the media business, which then launched my Hire It Done career. But it's really the high point of my life.
Well, that's awesome. And I remember that show for sure. Move That Bus.
Right.
It seemed like, though, for that show real quick that they do those makeovers in like less than a week. There was some kind of deadlines and they kind of came to town.
It was 5 days, 9 hours, which is really what the amount of time we had. But they claim it's a week. There's a lot of planning going on. There's a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of little tidbits and secrets, but they really did. They did it, and the family really was surprised.
It was a great show. I remember watching it, but I used to always think there's no way that you can, I don't know, set cement or put these things in and have them be working in 5 days or whatever the case is. So I'm sure there's some tricks, behind the scenes on how it works or what is just there, but don't use it quite yet. But is that, kind of, I guess, the reality of it? Some things, or can everything be done in 5 days and ready to go?
Well, there's an old adage in many things in life, but in home improvement, speed, quality, and price. You're only allowed two, right?
Okay.
So with the Extreme Makeover, speed was always one of the choices. Quality and price, well, they never wanted to spend. So quality was a problem because they couldn't get it done in time. So it was speed and price. And when you do something fast, quality suffers. So there was always quality issues. I'll go on record and say that. However, if you think about it, every day, most people work 9 to 5, 9 hours, right? We had 3 shifts, 8 hours each shift. So we were working 24 hours, 7 days a week. And so that 108 hours that came out with, you got a lot done. Now, we did get a head start. We knew the family who we were picking weeks ahead. We knew from meeting with Ty and the design team how it was going to lay out. So we had a head start. And with a lot of people, a lot of volunteers, and a lot of stress and anxiety, we got it done.
Our audience, I know, for today's show really wants to understand home improvements. So let's talk about the hire it done mantra. What is hire it done and what do you do there?
So Hire It Done is a brand where homeowners go to my website, kind of like an Angie's List, a Home Advisor, a referral site. However, mine is more, I would call, boutique. I personally vet the contractors. I know them. I personally go out and see the work. I check their references. I check their business references. So they pretty much get a good, let's say, call it a Better Housekeeping seal or the Hire It Done seal. And so with that being said, it reduces the risk a homeowner has of getting ripped off. I know that homeowners have a big fear. They don't want to overpay and they don't want to get ripped off. And they want a decent job. Not so great in the industry because one of the other things that ties into this is I'm on the board of directors of the Better Business Bureau. And the number one complaint they get is from contractors, about contractors. The number 2 complaints, used car sales. And it flip-flops all the time. However, it's mostly home improvement. And so the reason is because the barriers to entry in the industry is pretty easy. Anyone can become a contractor. You have to get licensed, but that test is not the most difficult. So homeowners want to rely on experience. They want to rely on somebody. And if they can rely on my experience and my advice, plus hiring one of my contractors, what happens is they've reduced greatly their risk. Now, I will tell you today, 50% of the problems that happen in a home improvement project are homeowner related. The other 50% are contractor related. It used to be 70-30, but it's balanced out. And there's a lot of reasons why that happened, but to get it done right, homeowners want to have someone they can rely on and reduce the risk. And that's where I come in.
Got it. And that's wonderful to know. So outside of this show, go to hireitdone.com or search out Hire It Done for the list of those contractors that have the Hire It Done seal of approval. Is that right?
Correct. So if you're like thinking of a room addition, you go to hireitdone.com. There's a bunch of categories, room additions. Click roofing, plumbing, electrical, landscaping, siding, windows, whatever you want, we have it there.
Okay, awesome. So for this show, we're going to put all that aside and we're going to talk about what would our viewers, our listeners, the audience do if that wasn't an option? And so they are either replying to ads on TV, searching the internet, going in their neighborhood to find these contractors. So we're going to talk today about different projects and different solutions besides or in addition to reaching out to Hire It Done. Okay, so let's just start with 2025 right here, right now. Let's talk about what would be some of the top either home improvements you're seeing or hearing on people's agenda for the year, or anything else that comes to mind as a trend for 2025.
Great question. So the economy drives a lot of home improvement. So when the economy's down and interest rates are up, most people don't move, they improve. Okay. The other thing is when prices are up in the way they are, people tend to do less of a bigger project. They would repair instead of replace. So a new furnace today, 15 grand. Replacing or repairing your furnace, you might want to get a guy to repair it. It might be $1,200, $1,500, $3,000. Kick the can down the road attitude. I don't want to spend 15 grand right now, or I don't have a check, or I can't afford to do it. Maybe finance it, but let's do the repair instead. So these are the decisions people have to make today based on the economy. With that being said, there are still big trends. Let's start on the outside of the house. Roofing, huge. Roofs leak in a good economy and a bad economy. And with the technology today, roofings only last. They say, 25-year shingle. They last about 12 to 15 years. Siding and windows are a big project, but decks are huge. The reason why? People don't want a vacation anymore. It's called a staycation. Composite decks, being a little more environmentally friendly, those are the rage. A product called Trex, which is like Google. It's almost like the name brand. They own 98% of the business. Everyone wants a Trex deck. And so that's where that comes in and gets driven. So for the outside of the house, roofing, number one, outdoor decks or staycation, I'll call it. Number two, then brick pavers and all the landscaping that goes there. Concrete, new driveways. It's huge. Now, let's talk about the economy again with driveways. Concrete's expensive. Since COVID, concrete prices have tripled, quadrupled. There's a new product, or not new, but there's a product where you can do concrete leveling and repair your driveway a little bit. It's a lot less. And it, again, becomes one of those situations where people are going to explore the options as opposed to replacing. And that allows you to kick the can down the road a few more years until you're economically more capable of replacing your driveway. Now let's transition inside the house, okay? Kitchens and baths, huge. Always will be, because when you're selling a house, if you ever want to, for real estate, a new kitchen and a new bathroom gives you the best ROI, your return on investment there. Now, as a contractor, we go by the cost versus value report. It's a report that's backed by Harvard University that goes to each region and decides from real estate agents and contractors what home improvements give you the best return. Kitchens and baths are the best. Now, we can go down. Painting's great. Finishing your basement, turning children's bedrooms who are now in college into walk-in closets. So those are the trends, and those are what is popular today.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's good information, my friend. Absolutely. So if we dig a little deeper into that, and
Sure.
let's start where we talk on the inside of the house. Okay. And so you have the kitchens,
Yep.
you have the baths, but you also have, again, the furnace or the other equipment. I guess it could be a washer, it could be a dryer, but in this case, let's talk about the furnaces, the
Correct.
heating and cooling, HVAC, or whatever that might mean. So in the case of what to look for and what not to look for, are you saying that you might want to consider just repairing versus replacing because of that cost, or it doesn't really matter? And I know this is going to be something I say repeatedly for the next hour. It seems like you can get a low-end version, a middle-end version, and then the high-end version. And I am, just for the audience and for you, I own an individual residence. I have non-owner occupied real estate investment properties that I have. I'm familiar with commercial and industrial, so different types of real estate, etc. I'm involved in, I'm aware, but I'm talking today as someone who owns a home. Okay. And again, for all of us out there with interest rates that I was able to refinance my home at the 3% or just under range. Okay. I don't want to leave this house ever. I don't want to sell it, take all the ROI from the bathrooms and the kitchens and go buy something upstream that costs me more with a 7% mortgage. And I'm in the investment business. So if I'm not really wanting to do that, many of our listeners, our viewers aren't going to do that either. So they're either going to replace or repair what they currently have, because they're not going anywhere, right, for the next maybe 30 years.
Sure.
So all that being the case, I now have, and we talked off camera about it, I need a new roof. I need a heating and cooling system. I actually need a kitchen and 2 bathrooms, not just one. So I'm asking you as someone who's really into this. So let's start with the heating and cooling system and this thing called the furnace. What are your thoughts on the repair versus replace, the low end, high end, middle end, etc.?
Okay, so let's break that down in heating and cooling. HVAC is heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Okay, indoor air quality is extremely important today. Did you know, here's a fact for all your listeners. The air inside your house is 5 to 10 times dirtier than the outside air. So anytime you do anything with your heating and cooling, you've got to address the air quality. Now, there are good, better, best. There's a furnace for low end and there's a furnace for high end. If you have an existing furnace and it's working, the question is, should you upgrade? Now, most people don't call a furnace company unless they have a tune-up or there's a problem. Okay. Today, most people are even delaying that. But if there's a problem, people are like, oh no, there's something wrong with my furnace. I got to have the technician come out. They charge you to even just show up. At that point, they've got you, right? So in the back of your head, as a homeowner, you're like, oh, please, I don't want to buy a new furnace. I don't want to buy a new furnace. But the reality is they're going to diagnose it. And if you have a reputable contractor, they're going to be honest with you, because there's a lot of scammers in the heating and cooling business. We could do a whole hour on that, but let's just make it quick for you. The best furnace is the one that's installed properly. So first things first is you got to make sure your furnace has been installed right. But if there's a problem with it, the formula that I use is, if the repair is about 30% of the cost of a new furnace, and that's the good, better, best level, that's when you need to make that decision and say, you know what, let's rip this one out and let's put a brand new furnace in. Now, I always recommend for homeowners that air quality drives that. So if you're going to get a new furnace, you got to go with a better air filter. Today they have 5-inch and 4-inch air filters instead of the 1-inch. That makes a huge difference. But the technology that we have today also impacts your heating and cooling. So if you're going to upgrade, you might as well upgrade to the latest and greatest technology. You don't need apps and Alexa and everything and Siri telling you what to do. What you want is a furnace that senses when you're home and when you're not home. Because when you're not home and you work 8 hours away from the house, you don't need to heat your house to 72 degrees for 8 hours. You can drop it to 66. And then it knows you get home at 5. So at 4:45, it starts to bring the temperature up slowly to get you to the comfort zone. Now, the Department of Energy, here's a tip for everyone. The Department of Energy says for every degree you set your thermostat back, for over an 8-hour period, you save 3% on your energy bill. So if you go 5 degrees over 8 hours, that's 15% a month. A $300 heat bill is, $15, $20. It's a couple of pizzas. And I'll be honest with you, today's economy, every dollar counts.
All right. As a follow-up for all of our viewers out there and all of our listeners, the 30% rule on a $10,000 furnace would be $3,000. So if the repair is less than $3,000, maybe consider the repair. If it's going to be more, maybe consider the replacement.
Correct.
Let's certainly go into some other details.
So a blower motor, which is a big repair for a furnace, is about $2,000 today. Okay. Plus the installation of it. Plus there might be other circuit board. There are things that just end up breaking over time, mostly moving parts. However, when you get close to that, that's when you have to make a decision as a homeowner. Is it time to go and upgrade? And plus, there are energy tax rebates and credits that you get as well when you upgrade. So that's why that number comes up into play.
Okay, that's awesome. And as we were talking before, I know when I first started looking at furnaces, they were around 5,000 or 6,000. Now they are about 14 or 15,000. So I have that sticker shock and I'm trying to figure it out. So I will hire it done. How about that? Okay, let's move into the bathrooms and the kitchens. You said those are historically the best ROI,
correct,
return on investment. Those I also believe are more expensive than they used to be. And let's start with bathrooms first, and we'll save the kitchens, the grandiose kitchens for last for this piece. But as it relates to bathrooms, I know, because I'm trying to look at getting 2 done, there's these things called these kits, these slide-in kits, these, go and glue them in type of things. I've talked to several contractors, several friends in the industry who have said, are you crazy? Don't go that route. Like maybe if you're really, really, really elderly and have some issues to walk in or something. But let's talk about the kits in these bathrooms and what kind of value or opportunities there. And then also just in general, what should people be paying attention to if they want to rehab their bathrooms for either selling later or getting the best of the best today?
So let's break out what you mean by the kit. So there are prefabricated walls and tubs, and it's called, like, sometimes they call it a one-day bathroom. It's really not the floor, it's not the walls, it's just the tub walls in the tub area, and that's what you're talking about. And the problem with those is not the product itself, because it's really cool. It looks like tile, it's got marble looks, it's got shampoo shelves. I'm enamored by that stuff, and I love it. It's the installation. One of the things about Hire It Done is I get calls from homeowners and emails by the hundreds every day. And a lot of times I can tell where the trend is. And the trend with that is it's been the product has not been installed properly. They step into their tub and it's squishy, water's getting behind. It just, the picture and then the reality, two different things. My recommendation for homeowners is to stay away from that. Okay. Now, bathroom remodeling. Typical bathroom has a tub shower combo, a toilet, and a vanity. That's called a three-piece bath, right? Everybody who's watching this says, oh, I have one of those. Now, renovation-wise, what's the cost? What's the planning? And what's popular, right? Well, gutting it to the studs and putting it back the same way, no problem. It's great. A lot of homeowners, and I'm seeing this trend, is they're taking that tub area out and they're making it into a shower. And a lot of people are like, well, my kids are grown. It's just my husband and I or my significant other. I want a shower only. That's a popular home improvement
shower
right now.
With the bench. You can sit back and spray
Yeah,
yourself
correct.
82 ways, right?
Exactly. And then the vanities, people are going a little bit higher. Okay. The old school vanities were like 28 inches. Now it's 30, 32 inches. And so you don't have to bend over. And you're a tall guy. So you know, especially in your house, you know what that. So there's all those that have to come in play. Now, if you don't hire a pro that knows that, like, we keep our finger on the pulse of the industry. That's why I talk to my contractors all the time. I talk to homeowners all the time. I talk to manufacturers. What's going on? What's the latest and greatest? So we know. That's where we're at with that. Now, the next level up is the luxury. Okay? Heated floors, heated towel warmers, body sprays, shower head out of the ceiling, out of the sides, handheld. You have a whole combination of your own spa in your house. Steam units. Those are items that are very, very luxurious, but popular because you can get it done, not super expensive. Higher toilets. It's called comfort height. Who would have thought a toilet 2 inches higher than the regular toilets make that much of a difference? Heated toilet seats, bidets. Those are luxuries that everybody can afford today. And the trend is add a few other little customized items for yourself, and you have the best bathroom ever.
Okay, that's great. So let's keep going with that. So in terms of the bathrooms and what you said about getting rid of the tub and just having the shower and the bench for me to spray myself 82 different ways, I've also been told that you need to keep a tub because if you are going to sell it at some point, the next family may have the young kids. They may be at a different point where they want a tub to soak in. Or as I see with homes, if the home can fit it, you should just have a separate tub and a separate shower. And I guess now you're talking a master bath and some different things. But just in general, talk about getting rid of that tub because my kids are grown and almost out of the house. And I'm thinking about just doing that shower. And I was kind of told, no, you need to have a tub just for different reasons.
So that's a tough spot for me because I don't agree with that. I'm going to go against the grain and say, you're living in the house. You want that bathroom not to have a tub, then that's fine. You enjoy it while you're there. You sell the house and it's your house with a beautiful bathroom. It's the neighbor's house, similar floor plan, but they have the tub. I would say homeowners they're not going to not buy your house because of that. And by the way, 80% of all home improvement is spent in the first 18 months of home ownership. Most homeowners who buy a house today have in mind already what renovations they're going to do. Carpeting, flooring, painting, smaller projects, but then it goes up. And I would see if a homeowner says, you know what, this is a newly remodeled bathroom. It's a beautiful shower area that had a tub at one point. Maybe we'll live without the tub. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it makes a difference.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because as tall as I am, I've never fit into any of those standard tubs anyway.
Yeah.
And so, again, if it's going to be something that I'm going to use, and so everyone out there listening and watching, you might as well enjoy what you have. And if it is for an investment, just like anything else, get it and then put it aside. So
let me make another comment about that because you brought up your height. Most houses that have a tub and that 3-piece bath have a soffit above that tub that lowers the ceiling. We're able to take that ceiling out and give you the extra 6-8 inches of height, and you've gotten yourself an area that's amazing with a full glass shower door. Let us do your bathroom, Dewey.
Love it. I love that. And what about for our viewers and our listeners that are either up in age or they're the kids whose parents are elderly? I've seen these tubs that there's like a door that opens, and I'm sure there's leakage and whatever, but maybe we're getting too granular about that.
No, it's a walk-in tub. By the way, the population is getting older. Okay, we used to call it handicap accessible, and everyone got nervous about that term, and then we called it barrier free. You know what I call it? I call it design for better living. Okay, there's no reason you can't put a grab bar. Why not? You can put grab bars in now that look like towel bars, but they're built like a grab bar. You can do a walk-in tub, and it can be lower with a door, and you open the door and you walk in. The problem with those is you can't walk out of it till the water's drained, okay? Otherwise you flood everything. But they've put a motor or a pump in the drain that pumps the water out quicker. However, in my experience, that's one more part to break. You got an electric pump pumping water out of your tub so you can get out. Because once you're done with the shower, it's cold, right? You want to get out, and you want to put a towel on and dry off. This doesn't allow that. Now, I'm not against it, because if you need to sit in a shower and you want to be able to bathe and you're older, get a walk-in tub, but just be smart about it. And then aging in place, right? Grab bars, wider doorways. There's nothing wrong with it. And you can design a bathroom today that has all that in it for older people, and you would never know.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good stuff. What did you call it? You called it living?
Barrier free.
Yeah.
Handicap accessible.
Yeah.
And then I call it design for better living.
Love that. Design for better living. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So if you know the math, let's talk about maybe what is the ROI? Let's say a bathroom, I don't know, just say it costs $10,000. We'll make it up from the labor and the materials. The whole thing is $10,000. What kind of return on that investment would a homeowner, and it might not be the full $10,000, but what would, or maybe it's more, but what would it be?
85% of that investment, their house is worth immediately more, 85% more. So 8,500. If your house is worth $110,000 and you put a new bathroom in, it's now worth $118,500.
Okay, for everyone out there listening, according to Adam, for these rough numbers, if you get 85% back on the $10,000, you spend $10,000 now, you will receive, let's say, $8,500 back in the purchase or sale price of the property.
And let me add to that. I don't know what price you can put on personal use, value of enjoyment. That's, to me, is priceless. So again, the value for you enjoying it is even better. Now, you can validate these numbers and go to costversusvalue.com. And you type in Detroit, and the whole metro area comes up, and it'll show you roofing, siding, windows, kitchens, bath, the whole gamut of the house, what it looks like, and what your return is.
Okay, that's awesome. That's good stuff to know. All right, we're going to switch to kitchens. Okay, we're going to go to the granddaddy of them all from inside, and those are these kitchens and islands and sub-zeros and all this stuff way beyond me. So let's talk kitchens, and where do we start?
So when you entertain, Dewey, where does everyone hang out?
Well, not the kitchen, because I need a new one, but they would probably hang out in the kitchen and be around that island and picking at the food you put out.
Right. So trending and typically when people do have guests, everyone hangs out in the kitchen. In your house, you've got all kinds of places. So the kitchen, when you used to have a kitchen, it was a kitchen in a breakfast area, then the dining room. Now it's an open kitchen. In fact, dining rooms, and I'm going to declare this, I'm sure a lot of your real estate friends are not going to like this, dining rooms are out. Okay? Expand your kitchen. And kitchens are all about more than just cooking. It's about entertaining. It's about hanging out there. You come home from a hard day's work, you drop your keys in the kitchen usually, or you bring the groceries in. Kitchens are all about technology now. Charging stations, everyone's got a phone. Everyone's got an iPad. You come in, you want to plug things in. Most of the time they're plugging them into the kitchen. So there's a lot to a kitchen now, more than just refrigerator and a cooktop in a sink, in a dishwasher. So granite is a big thing. Now quartz is bigger. It used to be laminate tops. When's the last time I put a laminate top in the hundreds of kitchens I do a year? I can't even tell you. Even in my rental homes, we don't do that. So kitchens are all about functionality and entertainment.
Okay, so let's talk about costs though, because I know I just replaced my appliances, and those just doing that several $1,000s.
Correct.
I looked at countertops. I looked at doing new flooring, and I just said, forget it. We'll just entertain in a different room. So that being the case, like when you're talking about kitchens, I understand it based on square foot, this and the other,
Sure.
but in general for our audience, again, that's looking to rehab what they currently have because they're not going to be moving, but they want either an ROI or they just want, the latest and greatest. So what are some things they should consider?
So kitchens used to be a basic starting kitchen was 25 grand. Today, it's 50 grand for the basic kitchen. Now, a basic kitchen is white, shaker.
Time out. Our production engineer in the other room, I just heard him go, wow. So that's raw, fantastic. And I'm going to say, wow. So keep going.
We can go shopping, have a day of shopping for cabinets one day, and you'll be like, oh my God, And kitchens, 50 grand on average today. Now, why is that? Well, kitchens are much bigger. Labor has gone out of control. So between the manufacturing and the labor, everything's gone up and very, very expensive. Cabinets, most people, most people use wood cabinets. There's not like plastic cabinets or anything like that. Appliances used to be bulletproof. Now, today, they're planned obsolescence. You get a beautiful, shiny, chrome-looking stainless steel double door refrigerator from a big box store, and then 2 years later it's on the fritz. And that was $4,200, right? You can buy Sub-Zero, which is a great brand, but that's 15 grand for one refrigerator. It's got the built-in look. So again, kitchen pricing is outrageous, but again, you use it. And if you're going to sell your house, again, everyone wants to say, well, if you sell, what's my return? A house that has a brand new kitchen in it, every time will sell quicker than any other house. So it is there. But again, when you design a kitchen, it should be designed for your lifestyle. Are you the type of person who eats out all the time? You don't need a great designer-looking kitchen unless you have an ego. If you have kids and you cook all the time and you want to do that, well, then you design a kitchen that is functional, designed properly for your personal needs. And I go down granularly. I'm like, if you're left-handed, the dishwasher should go on the right. If you're right-handed, it should go on the left. We get that close in designing to see that. If you're cooking, do you want double ovens? There are things that you do. An air fryer. Everyone, I have an air fryer. Do you know a convection oven is an air fryer?
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's an insider tip.
Okay.
You don't have to spend $400. You just have one of your ovens, a convection. You can use that. So anyways, that's a nice little tidbit for the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. So let's talk ROI on that in general sense. So if something is going to be $50,000, Dean in the control room just went, wow. If it's $50,000 for this kitchen, what would be the return on that if they go and sell the house?
You would probably get an additional $50,000, almost nearly 100%.
Okay.
So $1 in gets you $1 out.
That's fantastic. Didn't know it'd be that high.
Yeah. It's proven. You go to any real estate agent, they will say, I want to sell the house with a new kitchen. People buy quickly because of that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. All right, so we're going to wrap up the inside. I'll ask you in a second about any other place on the inside that we should talk about that haven't. But before we do that, let's talk about these appliances. Let's talk about whether it's the dishwasher. Let's talk about if it's the refrigerator, sure, the washing machine, etc., including back to the furnace. At what point do you, with all of those, call the repairman out? And like you said, there's either a $75 or $100 service call.
It's
And
more than that now.
even more than that. And they say, as long as we do the work, we'll add that to the bill or we'll take it off the bill or whatever. So if you don't, now they don't like what they've diagnosed. So you have to pay them, let's call it $100, pay them $100. Now you know potentially the problem. Got to call the next one. They're going to come and say the same thing. We want 100, and then we'll go from there. That just alarms me. It overwhelms me. I get anxiety, and I know that I'm going to be dealing with that. So, any tips to our viewers or listeners about how you deal with that, or maybe you just
Sure, of course. So, furnaces for your house require maintenance twice a year, spring and fall. And if you do that, you're going to be fine. It's the appliances like a refrigerator, an oven, a cooktop, a dishwasher. Those, there's no manufacturers or there's no maintenance programs for those. What I suggest you do is, keep them clean, especially a refrigerator. There's a vent and it will absorb a lot of dust. Keep that clean on a regular basis. Other than that, you shouldn't have to worry about it. And I wouldn't, call up and say, I need a checkup on my oven. Unless it's broken, you don't need to do anything. Just keep it clean. That would be my advice for homeowners. Now, today, people buy a different brand refrigerator than they would a dishwasher. It used to be, I want all KitchenAid, I want all Whirlpool, right? But today it's a Sub-Zero refrigerator. It's a Wolf grill, a Bosch dishwasher because they're quiet, things like that. So people have been individualized and selective, and that's what they want to do. So what I suggest is if you're going to buy an appliance, do a little research. Look at consumer reports. Look and see what the ratings are for longevity. Because there are some that are beautiful but don't work great. And there are some that aren't so beautiful but will be like a tank, go forever. So those are the advice I give to the listener is figure out what you want for your own use and then go from there.
Okay. Again, great advice. Thank you for that, Adam. All right, now let's go into anywhere else in the house. I mean, we do have the basements and
Sure.
Finishing those, so whatever else might be out there. So anything else inside that comes to mind we should talk about?
Sure. So inside the house, always popular is finishing a basement. We say take your basement and convert it to a lower level. So those are big ones. Your garage. We call the garage the last frontier. A lot of people just have all the schmutz around their garage and stuff. Now, organizing a garage is like a walk-in closet. In fact, like companies like California Closets, you've heard of them, they were big in closets. Well, they took that concept and moved it into a garage, and now you can organize your garage. So organized closets, organized garages, and lower levels are very popular. And then, again, not having your children going out and partying all the time, finishing the basement and letting them stay downstairs, playing video games, putting your own bar downstairs. People are, cocooning is the good word. They want to stay home. The world's crazy today. So I would rather invest into my house, go downstairs, chill, watch a movie, and then come upstairs back to reality. So your house is your biggest investment. I would think you would know that. Spend the money in your house.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about that a lot in our world of investing, that your house is your biggest asset, maybe except for your 401k or other retirement plan that you've saved for 30 years. And people, again, don't pay much attention to those. They just figure it's a thing. And then they're shocked when something happens that they really didn't prepare for along those same lines. Let's talk about carpet versus hardwood floor versus laminate versus, I don't know, this fake this or wannabe that, whether that's upstairs, main floor, and this new lower level basement type of idea. What's out? What's new? What's the story?
So flooring, hard floors, soft floors, very trendy right now. I happen to be a guy who likes carpeting. For whatever reason, I like to walk around my house barefoot. I don't want to be on a hard floor. I have, in my house, I have tile, and then I have carpet in the family room and in the bedrooms. But right now, trending right now is what we'll call a laminate floor. Okay, it's snap click. Used to be a brand called Pergo originally, was the first one that came out, but now there's 100 different brands. They've evolved. The technology right now is really, really good because they take a super high definition picture of wood and they imprint it into the plastic. And you can hold the real wood and the plastic, and you cannot tell the difference. But the plastic lasts forever. You don't have to refinish it. It's scratch proof if you have animals. It's mold and mildew proof. So if it gets wet, you can dry it off. So that's very popular. And the manufacturing of it is not so expensive, so you can get it pretty inexpensively. There's still the tried and true hardwood floors, 3/4 inch oak, maple, and those get sanded. They're messy. They need maintenance, but it's real hardwood. So a lot of people like that. Then there's what we call engineered hardwood, where it's a thin piece of hardwood and then it's wood underneath, but it's engineered for the strength. It can be only sanded once, but it goes straight and true. It's not going to cup. It's not going to warp. And it's also there. So it depends on your taste. It depends on your budget. For me, your shoes, your feet don't care what it's walking on. Go for the best look and you'll be fine.
All right. Well, again, great advice. One more time around. So what I know is when I do go into a home, maybe it's a investment property or something, but it could be a new home if I'm going to go that route. And you pull up the carpeting and there's hardwood floor underneath. Right. That's like a hidden treasure, right?
It's like finding gold.
It's like finding gold. You have to figure out if you have to sand it or, refinish it or whatever the case is. But I know that's something where you're supposed to be, oh, wow, look what they did, right? So that's probably a thing too.
Well, if you go back to the 50s and 60s, carpeting started to become very trendy, shag carpeting.
Shag, yeah.
And they took hardwood floors. Because when they originally built those houses, they were built with hardwood. And they just put carpet tack strip around the edge, nailed it in, and then stretched the carpeting on it. And that actually protected that hardwood for years and years and years. So now you pull that carpeting off, and I've done this in a lot of the flip homes that I've done in the past, where you find gold. And all you need to do is pull the tack strips out. There's little holes, but good thing is wood can be repaired. You fill it in with some wood filler, sand the floors, re-stain them. Brand new, beautiful hardwood floors. And timeless, by the way, timeless.
Right.
So it's worth it.
And then you'll go ahead and then put carpet back on top so you can walk around, but it might not be shag.
My house, it would be carpeting.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, that's it for the inside. Now let's pivot and we'll hit the outside.
Sure.
Maybe we'll talk about the dwelling itself. And if we have some time, we'll do landscaping, et cetera. But outside, I would imagine the biggest thing to talk about would be the roof. Huge expense. We're going to talk also about just contractors in general. And it seems like the roofing contractors, there are a lot of commercials, a lot of advertising.
Sure.
And they have to pay for that advertising somehow. So they might have inflated prices to help pay for that advertising budget. But at the end of the day, you just want to make sure you have good work, because if your roof leaks, you're in major trouble.
Correct. And don't forget, your roof leaks in a good economy and a bad economy. And it's typically like Murphy's Law. At the worst time is when your roof leaks. We all know that. So let me back up a little bit when you talked about advertising and stuff. If you watch local TV, as soon as you go to a commercial break, there's like 6, 7 commercials. Of the 6 or 7 commercials, you'll have 2 attorneys, a car dealer, and the rest are home improvement. Mostly roofs, sometimes windows, sometimes furniture. We won't name the names, but you know that. And now that I've said it, tonight go watch your television and just wait till there's a break, and you'll see it's home improvement. Home improvement actually is the majority of all commercials. So these roofers want to get in front of your house. And they want to come to your house and sell you a new roof. Obviously, if your roof's leaking, you can think about repairing it. But with today's day and age, you really should replace it. And I'll explain why in a minute. But when I started Hire It Done in 2005, I noticed a trend. The number one request I would always get from homeowners was, hey, Adam, I need a new roof. Who do you recommend? And so it was overwhelming, like 3-4 to 1. And why is that? Because most people are, if they were do-it-yourselfers, not anymore, they would never do the roof themselves. So they always want to hire that done. So roofing is the category that I said I better become the most knowledgeable in roofing to give the best advice. And so I've sharpened my information for the last 20 years. I found a company that does roofing at a flat fee. And they offer 50-year warranty on the labor and the material. And you pay a flat fee. They don't come to your house.
What does that mean, flat fee? I understand the concept, but for our listeners and our viewers out there, what does flat fee mean versus the other?
So this company assembles the project for you, meaning they'll bring in the roofer licensed insured installer. They'll bring in the dumpster company, insured dumpster company, and they'll negotiate on your behalf with the supplier to purchase the shingles. And they charge you a flat fee to do that. So if you were to get XYZ Roofing come to your house, they come to your house, they walk into the door, they're carrying shingle samples, and they spend an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours in your house. You're sweating. You're like, oi, what's going on here? This guy, and in the first hour, they're like $35,000 for your roof. In the second hour, they're $29,900. In the third hour, it's $19,900. And if you put the sign out and you promise to tell 5 friends, it's $19,000. Sign now. And that whole pressure, and you're like, some people sign the agreement just to get them out. That's the problem with the home improvement business. That high pressure sale is not what Hire It Done or anyone is about. This company, they do a Zoom call. You do it on Zoom. They Google your house. They have a satellite that takes a look, that can take a picture of your roof and tell you exactly to the 100% how many shingles you have. You pay them a flat fee, and then you go to the supplier, pay their cost, which you couldn't buy it for at that price. You pick any brand you want. And then once you pick the shingle, they schedule the dumpster and they schedule the roofer. You already know what you're paying. And when you add all that up, it's about 50% less than the guy from TV. And I've been involved with this company on Hire It Done 3 years now, and not one complaint. 5-star reviews all over the place. And people are thanking me because they save so much money. Imagine having to spend $30,000 on a roof, but you get the same exact roof for $15,000, $16,000. How does that happen? TV revenue, commission, marketing, overhead, that all gets taken out because you're paying one flat fee to get the roof done. People still don't believe it, but I've proven it.
Yeah, that there are costs in there to get commercials done,
Sure.
to get commissions to salespeople. And so what a lot of people do today, and we'll talk more about finding a good contractor.
Sure.
This is the part I want you to bring up. But they'll just go to Facebook and just put out there, who do we recommend in XYZ town? Or they'll do just a search on Craigslist. And I don't know if that's good or bad for people that are out there looking for
stay away.
But so we'll talk about all of that. But yes, it really comes down to, again, the reputation of the person you're asking. So people are calling you and asking about home improvements because that's what you do. People ask me all the time about investment advice because that's really what I do. And when you're comfortable, you tell them. But when I'm uncomfortable, I don't know. I'll say, talk to this expert, whether it's a car or a home improvement. Or if I've had a good experience, then you do want to elevate and share that because that's almost like found gold, and the community should benefit from what we have, I guess. But what about that?
So, yeah, I mean, people are afraid to get burned. They're afraid to get ripped off.
It's a lot of money.
Right. So that's why they ask. I always tell people telling people when you're finding a contractor, you just got to ask for references. Most homeowners, here's the problem. Most homeowners will ask for references. And then you'll be like, yeah, of course, here's 5 names. The fact that you just said, here's 5 names is enough for most homeowners to say, oh, he's got references. Okay, I don't need to even call. Most homeowners don't call the references. I teach homeowners what questions to ask references, and that if you don't call any references, you deserve to get burned. And I also say to homeowners, look, I checked all the references of my contractors, but I still want you to ask if you can. I did the homework for you, so you should be okay, but ask them. And I say to them, let's use a bathroom as an example. I tell homeowners, tell the contractor when you're ready to hire them, say, listen, I'd like to talk to a few homeowners who you did bathrooms that are similar to mine. Can I get a few names? Because a lot of times the contractor goes, I do great work. I built a house for this guy. Call him. Well, I want a bathroom. I want to talk to the guy or the homeowner who you did a bathroom for. So there's all that. There's a lot to it. And it gets very, very cumbersome. It takes a lot of time. But you know what? If you spend $50,000 for a bathroom or a kitchen, don't you think, Dewey, you should spend at least a couple hours making sure that the person you're writing a check to is not going to the Bahamas with your money? I mean, you got to do that research. It baffles my mind how people are today. So
Yeah, they want quick action. They don't want to do the work. They want the easy route. And this is even the people that have worked really hard to make something of themselves in whatever field they're
do you know
in.
why that is? I'll tell you why that is. Google ruined the home improvement business. And so did another thing, HGTV. Did you know that you can watch HGTV or any of the TV shows that show remodeling? And in 28 minutes, in a half-hour show, they remodel the whole bathroom. So in a homeowner's mind, it got done really quick. And then they tell you the pricing, and it's never accurate because the contractor to be on TV gave you a discount. The faucet brand, the cabinet brand gave you a discount so you could use it on TV. So it's never correct, the budget. But in your mind, you saw everything get done in 28 minutes. Why is a full bathroom remodel takes 14 days? Think about that. Homeowners want it now. Google, you type in bathroom remodel on Google, when you hit enter, boom, all the information you ever wanted in a bathroom comes up. You want to hire me to do your bathroom, I'm going to tell you 14 days. You're like, what? And then the next guy might say, I'll get it done in 3 days. Really? Day 4, well, we're still waiting on the material. Day 10, one more piece is on its way. We don't even start the job until everything's in stock. So there's so much that homeowners need to know, and it's so deep. Again, I try to inform homeowners. I try to educate them and give them the lowest risk to do the job, and it's still risky.
Yeah, and they still need to do their homework.
Due diligence.
Right. So with roofs, let's say real quick with roofs, there's like 2 sets of shingles or 3 stacked, or I don't know. They've said there's
layers,
layers. So there's some maximum, or what's the story with a complete tear off?
Yeah.
Putting it over the top.
So in Michigan, the code is you can put a second layer over an existing layer. Absolutely do not do that. I would not allow any of my contractors to do that. To do a roof properly, you have to use what we call a full system. Okay. So let's pick a brand of shingles, Owens Corning. Okay. Pink Panther, everyone knows them. My roofers are required, if they sell Owens Corning or any brand, GAF, Certainty, Atlas, that they must use all the Owens Corning brands that apply and are connected to the shingle. Underlayment, synthetic, ice and water shield, ridge vent, cap, waste, all that, right? All Owens Corning. And why do I tell people that? Because they're designed to work together, and that's where you get the lifetime warranty on the shingle, which is transferable, by the way. So if you put a lifetime warranty on or lifetime shingle on your house, you can transfer that warranty. So there's where you had value when you're selling your house. Lifetime warranty on the shingles comes with the new owner. That's huge, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But that lifetime warranty means a lot. A lot of homeowners don't realize. They go with a guy says, I'll give you Owens Corning, no worry. And then if there's a leak or a problem, first thing Owens Corning does is come out to the house. They lift the shingle up. If they don't see Owens Corning underlayment and they don't see Owens Corning other products, your warranty is null and void. So that's a lesson people don't realize. That's why it's so important to have a full system. And you have to be certified by the manufacturer to do that. And you need to make sure that your warranty gets registered properly for that. That's important for homeowners to know. Now, it's just a roof, right? But who would have thought that becomes that complicated? That's why when you bring people to your house, you get confused, and we call it information overload. Because most people are told to get how many bids? 3, right? Contractor 1 comes to your house, 2.5, 3 hours. Contractor 2, an hour and a half. You're sweating. You're like, oh my God, what am I doing, right? So the question is if you get a little bit of education up front, you can reduce that to next to nothing and get a roof that, 1, never leaks and lasts a lifetime. That's what we try to do in our brand to help everybody.
Well, that's great, especially when we started the show and you said a 25-year roof is only maybe 10 to 15. So
correct.
More awesome information. All right, Adam, we're going to go to another part of the show. This is my favorite part of the show, okay? And this is the What Do We Do podcast, okay? But even with this amazing podcast, with these amazing listeners and these awesome viewers, they kind of get sick of hearing, what do we do? So right now we're going to pivot to what we call What Adam Do. And this is a segment where we want to know, what would Adam Helfman go back and tell his 18-year-old self or 18-year-olds out there today so they can live their best life?
Wow, that's a loaded question. That's a lot of work. I mean, to keep it simple, I would say if I had to go back in time, tell myself, I would be, one, always be honest. Two, outwork everyone. And number three, get it all in writing.
Get it all in writing. What do you mean by that?
Anytime you do anything, my dad was a handshake guy. He would be like, just shake his hand, you're fine. Today, you can shake someone's hand, they're going to say, yeah. And next thing you know, oh, well, I didn't mean it that way. I don't mean it that way. When I say get it in writing, it's like when you get a contractor come to your house. Oh, yeah, I'll take care of that. I'll do this, do that. I tell homeowners, look, after you get a quote from a contractor, read it and then give it back to them and say, put in writing what's not included. Why do I tell people that? Because it makes the contractor think about the job again, and he'll have to come up with something, and it'll make him think, and then it'll allow you to see what he's thinking about. The other thing is, get in writing. Like I said, I tell homeowners, don't just get a proposal. Have the contractor write your proposal like a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Beginning, plans and permits, demolition, right? A middle, start of the tile. The end, your first shower, usable completion. That way, and get it in writing. Because if God forbid there's litigation, okay, and people are litigious today, you don't go to court for a year. So you're relying on memory. If you're not getting everything in writing, it's he said, she said. Now, if you're a homeowner, the judge will tend to side with you. But a good contractor who keeps everything tight records and keeps pictures and communications and done right, that's the guy you want. He's the guy that you want to use, but at the same time, he's prepared because he has it in writing. Thus, the reason why get it in writing. Memorializing anything is super important.
That's fantastic. And I especially like the piece about write down what's not included. That's great advice right there.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we're running out of time, so let's make sure we tell everybody all about Hire It Done. Let's get your social media handles. Where can they find more about Hire It Done, more about you, and talk about anything else in the last few minutes we have?
So Hire It Done, the website hireitdone.com is my website. You can follow me on YouTube. Just type in Hire It Done. We're on Facebook. You can Google Adam Helfman. My X or Twitter handle is Healthy Style. My Instagram is Healthy Style. Hire It Done on all those. You just type it in. Everything's connected, and in the link in the bio, you'll have all that as well.
Adam, it's been amazing having you on today. Thanks so much for being an amazing member of our community. You are a guru in the home improvement fix-it space. And with that, I want to thank you for being on the What Do We Do podcast. As I always say to everyone out there, live your best life. Be radically generous. A great big booyah to ya. And this is another episode of the What Do We Do podcast, but we're just getting started. Thanks, Adam. Booyah.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It's only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risks and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.